there's a million ways to make $1 million. A lot of times in our community, we focus on sports or acting or entertainment, music. Like those are just 3-4 ways out of the 999,000 other ways, right?
Well, welcome back to another episode of Lessons into Blessings. I'm your host, Tari Thomas. And with us today, I have a special guest. I'm kind of dubbing him the Pivot King because he's rolled into so many things. He is an investor and an author, but he's graduated as an All-American from a small D1 school, Watford College, moved into the NFL as a linebacker for the San Diego Chargers, spent 8 years as an aerospace engineer in multiple Fortune 500 companies, and now manages a multi-million-dollar real estate business and portfolio. I want you to welcome with me to the show, Alvin Scioneaux.
Hello.
What's up?
What's going on? Definitely
How you
pleasure
doing?
to be on the show. We are blessed and highly favored. That's the only way we live every day.
That's
so
it.
Looking forward to the show.
I am too, man. Even though we've talked and, we've talked about each other's backgrounds, we got a lot of similar things, both engineers and things like that. Both Greek, that's a whole nother story. Not Greek descent, but,
yes,
for those that know, catch it.
They know, if you know, right.
But yeah, you have such a colorful background. There's things that I didn't even know. And so I feel like the last 10 years of your life has been like you've added a lot of stuff to your repertoire. So it's been probably like 10, 11 years since you've graduated. Yeah. And in that time frame, you've added All-American athlete, NFL player, coach, author, model, actor. That was a new one for me. Engineer, philanthropist, and father and husband. Yes. That is a lot. What is one sentence you would use to describe what the last 10 years of your life has been?
One sentence, I would say.
Statement.
One statement. So for me, it will probably be just encapsulating. People have mentioned this to me as well before, so it's not even really my words, but being like a Renaissance man, right?
Yeah.
Just having that ability to bring ideas, bring concepts, achievements, revitalizing yourself. It like the Renaissance period in throughout history, right? It was revibrating and a reimaginating period that brought about some of the greatest art forms, brought about some of the greatest concepts and ideas.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That we still admire today, right? So when you take that same aspect and now you apply it to yourself, apply it to your life, and you start to do things like what you mentioned. If we have a lot of success working very diligently, because I wasn't always good at football. Let me tell you, high school was a decent player, nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
But putting in the reps, putting in the work, and making it to become the 0.1%, right? Making it to the NFL, or if we want to build rockets and satellites, using our mind to put things together as an engineer, doing the modeling, acting. You want to be on nationwide commercials with Dave and Buster's or ESPN, or building a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio. It's all a matter of just redefining yourself, your beliefs, and the value that you bring to the world, how you present yourself, like your brand, right?
I love that.
So that was a super long sentence.
It was. It was like a letter, a paragraph.
Right, basically.
But I loved it. I love the part about redefining yourself, being able to understand the value you bring to the world. I think that is beautiful. And so I think there's so many things you're going to be able to help our audience is going to be able to take away from your story. And so I'm going to jump right into it because I really want to help understand how you were able to bounce back from having to redefine yourself so many times. So I'm going to actually start from probably your collegiate space, right, where you had to kind of shift. You got into the NFL, right? You're All-American athlete. You come from a small D1 school, right? Going into the NFL. What, at that moment when you got into that space, what was your thoughts like? Like, I made it, mama, or what?
So yeah, that whole period was a wild journey. As you mentioned, small D1 school, Watford College is the name of it, in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Very small. There's about 1,500 students, 1,600 students or so. Like my high school has 1,600 students, right? And that's how small it was, right? But very great academically and athletically. It's actually like a top 10 liberal arts school in the country. About a quarter of my incoming freshman class, was the valedictorian of their high school, right?
Wow.
So, very prestigious academically. And then athletically, we played with Clemson and South Carolina, a lot of the big schools, and still put up a good fight. So to make it from a small school like that is a testament.
It is.
But when I went I was with the Chargers, I played with the Chargers. And when I got there, it was definitely a surreal moment, because we grew up watching, the NFL and, Emmitt Smith and everybody from the 90s to the 2000s. Over the years growing up. And, now we're here. I'm in the locker room with Phillip Rivers, Antonio Gates, and all these Hall of Fame players. And for me, it was a matter of, okay, I'm always trying to push the initiative. So what's the next thing?
Yeah.
So as soon as I got there, I'm looking at, okay, how can I get better? How can I soak up knowledge, learn, grow, evolve as an athlete, and now make a career out of this?
Yeah.
However, life be lifing sometimes.
Absolutely.
So my career was a lot shorter than I wanted it to be. Ended up tearing my ACL and meniscus, which ended my season, and eventually was just made a pivot career-wise. I did play. I was with the Chargers in 2014, 2015, and then I was with Edmonton. The Edmonton and CFL is the Canadian Football League.
Okay.
I was with them a little bit in 2016, and then after that, kind of living in a suitcase. The end of the roster, a lot of business. The professional sports in general is a business. And you will learn that very quickly as an athlete. So it was, for me, it was a matter of, do I want to keep playing football, keep pursuing, or go do something else? And one thing I always say, which I tell a lot of the kids this as well, there's a million ways to make $1 million. A lot of times in our community, we focus on sports or acting or entertainment, music. Like those are just 3-4 ways out of the 999,000 other ways, right?
Exactly.
For me, it was a matter of, okay, I'll rather just go do something else and not put that beating on my body at the same time.
What do you? So that's good. So I think we've all been in a space where it's like, oh, I see, like when you tore your ACL and you had to bounce around, like what was the emotions that you were kind of going through, and how did you say, okay, something's got to shift, there's got to be a pivot somewhere? What was that triggering thing that says, hey, I got to make a change and I got to make it like now?
Yeah. So the game I ended up tearing my ACL in was against the Cowboys. America's team, right?
Yeah.
Coming down, kickoff, and just one of those maneuvers where I didn't think anything of it, but I felt the pop in my knee, and instantly, I couldn't even take another step. I just fell and got the MRIs, everything. Found out that it was ACL meniscus. So at that moment, I was like, dang, this is a major injury, right? I mean, literally 10, 15 years ago, an ACL injury was guaranteed career ending,
Right.
So a major injury like that, I definitely had to reprocess, reconsider how things are going to go moving forward.
Yeah.
And once I got released from the Chargers and went up to Edmonton, got released from Edmonton, it was a matter of, okay, what's the objective, right? Like, what is really my purpose? What's really my passion?
Yeah.
I could talk about the 5 P's that I have in life: peace, purpose, passion, power, and prosperity. So I'll say it again: peace, purpose, power, passion, and prosperity. That's really what you got to think about when moving forward in life.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I was thinking, well, I can go I studied physics in math in undergrad.
Yeah.
And eventually got my master's in engineering. So I can go work as an engineer. I can still make 6 figures.
Yep.
And maintain my health, my physical health.
Right.
I don't know,
that part.
right. I don't know any engineer that's tearing the ACLs, at least.
Right.
I'm still physically in shape, right, from working out. So there's still modeling and acting, things I can do. A lot of athletes transition into broadcasting. So it was really just a weighing of the options. Like what's really the option that will maximize my future. A lot of guys in football, they end up bouncing around until they're 30, 31, 35 years old. And now they're like, now what? What we doing now?
Yeah.
And I definitely did not want to end up in that predicament. So for me, I just, made the choice to pivot out of football altogether.
And so that's good. I definitely believe centering on your why is so critically important, because it helps. Everything that's centered around your why, everything you talked about, your passion, your purpose, determines how you move. It determines the people you bring into your life. It determines the things you actually do, right? It determines all your movements and your actions, right? Like anything that's not in that space, it's like, I got to get rid of it. You know what I mean? Because it's impacting kind of how I want to be able to move forward. So being in that space and discovering that, a lot of people can say, okay, how did you kind of just get into action mode? Because I think a lot of people get stuck in idea mode, or get stuck in, that's a good choice, or they get stuck trying to make a million different choices. Because like you said, there's a million and one ways to make $1 million, right? So how did you just kind of hone in and just say, yep, this is it, go do it, go make it happen?
I'll say, so first and foremost, you have to assess. I think that's no matter what, whether it's walking into a new room, walking into a new situation, making new friends, or whatever the case may be, right? You always assess. And that assessment, a lot of times people think that assessment starts with the environment around them, but in reality, it starts with self. Your first assessment is a self-assessment.
That's good.
So I started with, okay, what are things that I have? What are skills I have, knowledge I have? And where do I want to be tomorrow, right? And when going through all the different options, modeling, acting was one of the first things I transitioned into while I was after football, while I was getting my master's degree. So I was doing that all throughout my master's degree, and once I got from there, transitioned into the engineering, because now I got the degree, got the master's. I couldn't, with a physics degree, I couldn't work full time as an engineer. As an engineer, right? They wanted that engineering degree. The engineering roles I was going for, they needed an engineering degree.
Got it.
And I would rather a master's than another bachelor. So I just went and got a master's in engineering. Like that's just a normal thing, right? People do.
Right. Not an easy feat, I can tell you that.
Yeah, a lot of time, a lot of work went into that degree. But that's really the overall assessment, that I made, assessing myself, and then assessing what I want out of my environment, which led me to all those different things. And I would say probably the next most important thing is just being proactive. That's probably the number one skill that I recommend and tell people to hone in on, because even if you don't know what you want to do, like if I'm proactively figuring out things, if I'm proactively taking action, proactively going down this path, and let's just say worst case scenario, it's the wrong path. Yeah. Well, at least I know right now, and instead of me waiting, trying to, analysis paralysis, trying to figure it out. Now I can backtrack from that path. Oh, let me try this one. Now I can be proactive in this route. That don't work out. Okay, no problem. I got this third option. Oh, next thing you know, you blow up. Just from the foundation of being proactive as well.
That's good. That's good. I mean, just really, number one, assessing what you have in your hands. I tell people, know what you bring to the table. So I love that you're talking to that, because I think that's such a key piece. And assessing what things are making me stuck, what things are making me not move forward, so that you can assess that, so you can shift that mindset or shift the things you're doing to be able to make the correction and get from point A to point B, right? Where you are today versus where you want to go. It looks like, from a proactivity standpoint, like, where did you learn all the things that you're learning? Is it the way your mother raised you? Are there experiences in your childhood that kind of just, because you're kind of like, I can't say that many people in your space would move and be thinking about that stuff. I almost feel like you had a certain mindset growing up, or maybe it's something that your parents nurtured that just helped you just be wired to be able to pivot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, definitely upbringing. That's huge in everybody's life, right? My mom and dad. My mom, she always say she's my number one fan. My dad he was an electrical engineer, and actually, growing up, I watched my parents build their portfolio from zero. Like, initially they were living with my grandparents, their parents, and then now to 20, 30 plus properties, right? Over my 18-year period of growing up. Yeah. So, that component as well, watching as parents, it's not what you say, but what you do that kids pick up on, right? Absolutely. You can talk all you want, but
yes, you can. Exactly.
What so just seeing them grow their portfolio, having people come to the door, dropping off rent money. I'm like, my man just pulled up, dropping off money. I need to see what's up with that, right?
Right.
So that upbringing built a very much so solid foundation for me. And then I would say the added benefit of just having to put myself out there. One thing that I learned early on was the answer to a question you never ask is always no, and a closed mouth has never and will never get fed.
That's good.
So these two things, at the bare minimum, I need to at least put myself out there and see. Let's try. Like I say, worst case scenario, you back at where you were started.
Absolutely. That's good.
Exactly right. So I've took this approach with football. I took this approach with engineering, took this approach with real estate. A lot of times my blessings come from me just taking it, just putting it out there. Just let's see. Let's try it. Let's see what it's talking about. Let's how about we go this path then?
Absolutely.
And a lot of times the blessings just start flowing in out of nowhere. Yeah. There's a quote saying, the harder I work, the more I put myself out there, the more blessings seem to come over my life, right? So, that's kind of the foundation of how I live.
Yep. You putting seed in the ground, though.
Yes.
You putting seed in the ground. When you're putting yourself out there, that you just sowing seeds. You sowing seeds. And it's like, eventually something's going to reap. Something's going to produce. If I keep watering, if I keep doing the necessary things that I need to do, something is going to produce. I don't know where it's going to come from, you know what I mean? Yeah. But something is going to come out of the work that I've been doing in the earth. And so I think that consistency and that perseverance is critical. And I love that, I love the, and the answer is always no to a question you never asked. I'm rephrasing it. That's great. And I feel like that now at this stage of my life, it's like, my mom is always like, oh man, I want you to be careful. I'm like, Mom, if I never put it out there, then I'll never know. You know what I mean? Like if I never do it, right? Like she comes from a generation which is more careful, and she's done a lot of things in her life to be a little bit more, maybe more risky than the next man, but she's still kind of risk adverse. Right. Yeah. So that's cool that you had kind of a little bit of, your parents kind of were physical examples. I think that's a beautiful thing for anybody who's raising kids is you be the example. Like you not moving forward, you being stuck shows your kids it's teaching your kids how to be stuck. It's not teaching them how to navigate the world and the spaces. And so I think that's a beautiful thing. You get to role model that to your kids. And so now let's talk about your pivot to kind of the real estate game. So you kind of talked about your parents and being able to watch them. After now doing so many years of engineering, what made you say, and it may be just watching your parents, what made you say, okay, now I got to get people showing up to my door, dropping off rent checks.
Right. Except now, 2024 is digital. Like,
exactly. You better not come to my door.
right. I better not see you. So my parents definitely laid that foundation. I would say the moment in time where it really, okay, I'm going full all in real estate was, over the years, 8 years in aerospace engineering, working with a lot of Fortune 100 companies, working for the government, DOD, DOE, et cetera, and made a good living, making well into six figures. But on the side, while that entire 8 years of me doing engineering, I was buying properties, getting this residential property over here, this single family over here, renting it out, doing co-living, renting it by the rooms to double and triple
my thing. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Doubling up the rental income. And, at one point, as an engineer, I got a 50% salary increase, a 50% salary increase, right? So that's major,
That is major, especially as an engineer, because it trickles in after you get in.
Right. Usually, most people maybe 2-3%.
Right, exactly.
2 or 3% salary increase. I got 50%, so I'm like, oh yeah, I'm really killing it now, and still operating in real estate. And then, 1 year got another property, rented it out, and the rental income was right here, and then my engineering income was right here.
Wow.
So it was a matter of, I'm doing this for 40 hours a week, this engineering, 40, 50 hours a week, and, really taking up a lot of my time. Whereas this, the side business of real estate, spending 10 hours.
Now equivalent to your
my full-time engineering salary. It was at that moment, like, okay, let's just go full all in on the real estate to make that my full-time gig. Of course, now I can make myself a real estate professional from a tax benefit standpoint.
Absolutely.
So now and even though the income may be the same, the take home gonna be a lot higher.
Yeah.
So that's just the benefits of real estate, which is why 90% of people have their wealth in real estate. So it was at that moment, like, okay, we pivoting again. Here goes.
Now you have a family at this time, right?
So I do have, I don't have any kids, but I do have one that is baking.
Okay. Oh, congratulations.
Yes. Thank you.
Congratulations.
And I am the third of 8 kids. So
okay. Wow.
I have kids by default.
Okay. Got it. Wow. And so a lot of younger siblings than you.
A lot of younger siblings. Yes.
Got it. So making the pivot. So number one, you use your active income to get started in real estate. I think so many people see real estate, they're out. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be out. And it's like, while you can, and you have the salary coming in, use your income to be able to pour it into passive investments.
For sure.
And, when you made that 50% bump and increase, did you take all of that extra? Did you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to still live below my means, take all that extra and just double down on real estate?
Absolutely. So to give you an example, numbers wise, anywhere from 60 to 75% of my salary or my income was going directly into investments.
That's awesome.
I know what is it, like 40, 30 or 50, 30, 20 or something like that.
30% of your income is going into like your living expenses. Is that what you're talking about? Or
So like that's the recommended financial advisor, 50, 30, 20, something like that. And only 20%. 20% going to investments. I did the opposite. Like, I'm about to live off of 20%. I'm about to invest majority.
Absolutely.
And that's how I speeded up my growth. That's how I speeded up my asset income
Acquisition.
producing and
Yeah.
everything else, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm the type of person where I'm a do it now person. You know, if there's something that needs to get done and we can do it today or tomorrow, and nothing is stopping us from doing it today, let's just get it over with. I'm a person that it'll be midnight. Well, I could do this real quick and let me just get out the way. So I like to do stuff now.
That's good.
When it comes to my growth and growing the portfolio, whatever we can do to make it grow now, why not? Let's just get it done.
That's
get out
good.
the way.
I love that you use, I was in the same space. I was using like 50% of my income. I was living in a house and renting out the other bedrooms and just using that income to pour. So I think that's a beautiful thing. I think people need to, any opportunity, usually people's, cost of living and their lifestyle increases as their salary grows.
Lifestyle
and it's like, no, just hold back,
Yep.
And utilize that to pour fuel on your investments so that it just, like you said, it multiplies and it multiplies at a higher factor, especially once
for sure.
Especially once you've honed in on what you can do, right? Like you already started doing investments. You were like, oh, okay, I got a knack for something. Let me now that I have this extra income, let me go ahead and just dump fuel on the fire and just help this thing to grow faster. So kudos to you for that. I love that. And you've talked about this a little bit. You talked about your 5 Ps, which I loved as well. What is the mindset that people really need to lock in on to kind of, number one, get started and just keep that chain rolling, like stay focused? I think some people, they can't get started. So that's one hurdle for folks. Some people, they get started, they get burned a little bit, and then they're like, it's freeze, right? Like I gotta really, and they get into a nervous space. What are the mindsets that gets people over? I know you talk about mindset a lot. That gets people, number one, over the fence. Like just get in there, get in the game, right? Mm-hmm. And then once you're in the game, just keep doing the work, right? Like you talked about, I was a horrible high school football player. And then, eventually I put in the work, right? Like I put in the work and, became what I needed to be to excel at that level. Help people kind of, what's the mindset that's needed to get through those hurdles?
Yes. So everything for me builds on self-confidence. So like this, because when you look at any and everything, whether it's analysis paralysis, whether it's, you got burned one time, now you just hands off, a lot of people make decisions based on being the unknown, which is naturally fearful. Yeah. And then also things that they can't control, like just being scared to take a little bit of risk.
Yeah.
So there's a statistic that the average person makes, the average thought that a person makes is like $10,000 to $50,000 thoughts per day. Mm-hmm. And upwards of 60% of them are negative and 80% of them are repetitive.
Wow.
So upwards of 60% are negative and 80% are repetitive. So you're thinking a lot of negative thoughts and repeating those same negative thoughts, right? And what that does is it builds a sense of, I need to be conservative, or I need to be cautious, or I need to be, I'm fearful of that. And that end up being produced in your everyday actions. Because now instead of, here's this investment opportunity, well, that may not work out the way I want. I'm just hold on to my 1% return in the bank.
Right.
Or this person came with me for opportunity. Well, I haven't really known them. I don't know their track record. So I'm gonna just keep my stuff over here and not do anything about it. Mm-hmm. Well, like I said before, be proactive. Go research their track record.
Yeah.
If there's something that's unknown about a deal, well, go figure out what can be known, what you can control, and don't worry about the things that you can't control, because that's inevitable anyway. I don't need to worry about stuff that's inevitable. It's going to happen. That's, life. Like we said, life be life. And
Yeah, it
sometimes,
does.
right? All you got to do is pick up where you left off and pivot,
Absolutely.
adjust, and move like water. Like Jet Li always say, become water. So, so for me, everything is built on having a self-confidence, because so many people move in a fear-based mindset, which is the exact opposite of opportunity, the exact opposite of growth,
That's good.
the exact opposite of just fulfilling your purpose, becoming all you can be.
Yeah.
And I'll say a second part of that is being able to see your future self today. So, for example, a lot of us know that cigarettes can give you lung cancer, right? A lot of us know that drinking all day can give you liver problems. A lot of us know that not working out will not be the best for your physical health, right? But a lot of us still do it.
Yep.
There's even studies on that show how, I forgot the actual term of it, but you basically, even though you know something not good for you, you still end up choosing that.
Right.
And what I found, that stems from a disconnect from your current self with your future self. So I always operate today with what my future self thinks, or the results my future self will have to live with.
Yep.
And literally, the farther out you can think, the better off you are today. Right? Because some people I can have a 1-day plan, and once the day passes, now I'm like, okay, what? I can have a 5-year plan. 5-year passes. Okay, now what? Or I can have a 10-year, 20-year. Some people have a generational plan.
Yeah.
My wife knows I talk about my grandkids consistently.
Yeah.
Even though I don't even know no actual kids of myself, right? Just yet physically here. And so that's the future self I'm thinking about right now. I'm already planning for it, already working towards it. So those two components are
man, dude, you're like speaking my language. Number one, as a man thinketh, so he is. So the self-confidence part is absolutely key. And I think when you're talking about when you were saying like those 10,000 or 80,000, however many thousand thoughts you have in a day, and 60% of them are negative, it creates momentum in the opposite direction of what you want to go, because there's so much momentum going in the direction that's keeping you stuck and keeping you in a place of fear. And so having to be able to shift those thoughts. And then I think you're secondary on just the vision and being able to see yourself where you want to be, and thinking and doing what you need to become that. Right? Like, if I want to be an engineer, I need to think like an engineer now. I need to be doing the things that engineers do now. Right? And if I don't know how to do it, I'm going to go figure out how to go do that. Right? And having a vision for yourself, even it's a tool I use as well, just seeing myself in the spaces and the places that I want to be. So used to have a fear, and I still have a fear of getting up and speaking in front of people. But being able to see myself on stage, see myself walking the stage, see myself in the confidence that, I need to portray to be what I think I want to be. You know what I mean? So I love that you talk about those two items. I think that's a phenomenal takeaway. And I think, unless you try, you're never going to know. And those two things help you kind of build a momentum in the right direction to get you to where you want to go. So Thank you for those takeaways. Man, so many good things. I could keep going with this, brother. So let me just tell you that, right? You have gone on to, I know, raise to take down some larger properties. You raised, I think, $1 million on your first deal, which is, I think all of that momentum, the vision, to continue to drive stuff in the right direction. How do you build momentum? How do you kind of continue to man, okay, I'm here now. And I mean, you've spoken to a little bit of it, but how do you continue to build momentum and not get comfortable? Because it's so easy to say, yeah, I raised $1 million, I'm good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I became an engineer, I'm good. Okay. And then get comfortable. How do you stop yourself from getting into a place and sitting in a seat of comfortability?
When I tell you when I tell you that comfort is, there's no such thing as growth in a comfortable environment. There has to be some adversity. There has to be some discomfort. You look at, building muscle. It'll be a lot more comfortable for me to just sit at home, right, and not work out, right? But I need to go work out, get some strain, break down my muscle fibers, so that when they grow back, now they grow back stronger, right? Same thing with your mind. I cannot think about all these hard topics, right? Engineering or science, or even as simple as the three things that is taboo to talk about: money, politics, and government, or religion. Money, politics, and religion, right? Those are the three things throughout society. You can't talk about where guess where we have the most problems in the world.
Exactly.
The three places nobody addressing, right?
Right. So, that's good.
I like to attack.
Never thought about that.
I like to attack things head first. If we got an issue, let's get straight to it. If we got a difficult problem or something going on, let's get straight to it, because the sooner we can get to it and then through it, the sooner we can get to the harvest or the greater pastures on the opposite end, right? So that's just how I'm wired. I actually, my wife, she always tell me about this too. I tend to seek discomfort and rather go down that route. If anything, I hate just being stagnant. I hate being, quote unquote, comfortable. Even so, we got married in Jamaica, right? Caribbean, islands, and everything. Nice. And I'm over here doing the hard things of learning how to windsurf. I'm doing parasailing and sailboat. I'm learning how to maneuver the sailboat and everything. Yeah. Because for me, it's all like, okay, this is a challenge. This is something that I've never done. So I need to be engaged. Just sitting back, relaxing on the beach, on my martini or whatever and stuff. Like, for me, that's just not me. I don't find happiness in the traditional comfort, right, of society.
Understood.
So I actually seek discomfort. Like, what's something that's challenging that I can do?
Yeah. That's good, though. I think you are pretty much, you're saying you put yourself in uncomfortable places in order to continue to challenge yourself to be better, essentially.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that, so, like you mentioned with the harvest, you receive the fruits of your labor.
Yep.
It's guaranteed.
Yep. Absolutely. And comfortability, sitting in a space that's comfortable, even though it may look like you're growing, you're just being stagnant and really declining at times. And so I get that. And it's hard for people to shift out of a space of comfortability just because, it's comfort, right? What I mean? I'd love to sit here all day and just, that's
and that doesn't mean either that, you should be a workaholic and be working 24/7 or anything like that, right? Yeah. Too. So there's still a slight balance.
A balance to it. Yeah.
I definitely make sure I get some sleep, at least 6-7 hours at least.
Yeah.
I do meditation, yoga, all these recovery aspects, right? Yeah. To keep the mind and keep the body at top shape. And that's also how you can operate at peak performance, right? Because a lot of people, they go overboard on the working side. Now they can't even operate at peak performance because they only got 3 hours of sleep and everything going crazy, right?
So
it's definitely a fine balance.
I agree. I'm learning to find that balance now as well, and just seeking more time freedom. You hit a financial freedom space, and then it's like, okay, I really want my time back now. I really want to be able to enjoy those moments and still challenge myself, right? Because there is something about, so I get where your space is, and you probably get what your wife's talking about. My cousin's like, you can't just sit and watch TV. You just can't sit and because I do like a good challenge, and just to keep learning and keep growing.
Don't get me started on TV. TV is the electronic income reducer, right?
Right. That is.
I have one TV in my entire place.
Oh, really? Wow. I'm sure your wife wants
in the living room. And that's it. And it's usually used for YouTube University or learning different things, stuff like that.
That's
But
cool.
yeah, that's a whole nother
whole nother conversation. We have you back for that
a whole nother aspect that's holding a lot of people back because they always
Yeah,
want to
no, that's real.
watch someone else living their dreams when they're not even
Yeah.
working on their own dreams, right?
Yeah, that's good. Oh man, that's good.
Mother
All right,
passed
we're gonna
off
have to wrap this up, brother. We're gonna have to wrap
Yeah.
this up. But I'm gonna leave. We never leave out our show without, the name of the show is Lessons to Blessings. So you got so many throughout the show. I don't really need to ask another one, but I'm gonna ask it. What is the biggest thing, setbacks, things where you've had to pivot? I mean, use a million over the past 10 years of your life. What is the biggest lesson you've been able to glean from what somebody else may have seen as tragedy, failure, and now that from going through that experience, you've learned what thing, and now you're able to just crank out the blessings as a result of it.
Absolutely. So there's definitely a lot of experiences I can draw on. I mean, my ACL major injury, right? That, coming to I made it, 0.1, 0.1% NFL professional athlete, right? We here to, back to the corporate world.
Yeah.
I would say that has been one of the major instances where I really understood that, for one, life is what you make it. Now you can, even if you quote unquote made it in societal standards, that don't mean that you made it in your own personal standards, which, for me, I always have elite, top standards for myself.
Yeah.
And in going through that, making it to the quote unquote pinnacle, and then having to fall back down and re-identify myself, I would say that experience in and of itself help me fully understand that there's nothing external that defines you, that values you, that gives you worth. It really all starts internal, which we kind of alluded to it in the beginning. And this is no matter what your background is, right?
Yeah.
You can be from any geographical, any religious background, any cultural background, etc. Whether you're spiritual, we are spiritual beings, right? Even if you reference the Bible, it mentions how we are gods.
Yeah.
In and of ourselves internally.
Yeah.
God live within us.
Yeah.
If you're scientific, you understand the mental heart spiritual being connection as well from a physical standpoint, scientific standpoint. So for me, I would say the biggest thing has been to understand that I am a thermostat, not a thermometer. And from a visual standpoint, right? So your thermostat, right? You go, if you want it to be 75 degrees, if it's kind of cold out, I need to warm it up a little bit, like turn the temperature up. If it's, if you're living in the desert like yourself, in Arizona, it's 100 plus. You're like, we need some AC blowing.
Yes,
turn that AC down. If you want it to be 70 degrees, you can make it 70 degrees, but it starts with an internal switch first, and then I can project out to my surroundings.
Wow.
As opposed to most people, they have a thermometer mindset and lifestyle to where, someone else may be projecting onto them, oh, you're not valuable, or, oh, let me put on these external clothes to make myself be cool, or let me go to this club and pop bottles and make it rain, or go to this event or whatever, just from resorting to drinking or any other external source.
Yeah.
For me, my happiness, my joy, I love my wife, but that all comes from within me first.
Yeah.
And she does the same for herself. She's very much so self-confident. And I think that's really why we are a match made in heaven, because we're complementary in our skills, but also have our own separate identities to push things forward. Right.
Yeah.
So
that
has been the overarching lesson, from the self-belief to the discipline to the proactivity to everything. All of these aspects are self-identifying to myself. And when you go deep within self and find these solutions, it doesn't matter what happens outside. I understand my why. I understand my why. So what around me is just another thing.
Love it. Love it. Set the thermostat, set the temperature. Don't let the external factors disrupt you.
Yes.
Because there's always going to be external factors. Always.
That's life. Life be life, and that's right.
That's it. It's always. So you get to set the temperature, and based upon your values, your beliefs, your why, and helping that drive you and navigate the waters. I mean, I love it. And it speaks a lot to just what you've been able to do in just a 10-year period. And you are just getting started.
Yeah, I just warmed the tires up. We still about to take off.
Getting started. So
about to get ready for the actual game.
I love it. Man, thank you for being on the show. How can people get in touch with you if they're interested in connecting with you? Give us real quick deets. I'll leave it in the show notes as well.
Yes. So I'm on all social media, the number 1, Scioneaux. So that's the letter A, the number 1, and then Scioneaux, my last name. You can also go to financialathletecapital.com. That's my book is also on that link. Talks about the guide to passive investing for athletes. So a lot of valuable information in there. Grab that. And then, social media, is probably the best way just to directly get in contact with me as well.
Yeah. Cool stuff, man. Well, thank you for joining us once again. And thank you guys for joining us on another episode of Lessons into Blessings. If you like this episode, please hit the like button, subscribe, and join us on this journey to financial freedom.
And another quote I want to end with is when people ask me, another saying I have when people ask me how I'm doing, I say, too blessed to be stressed. Okay.
That's it.
Internalize that. Every day, I'm too blessed to be stressed. And I guarantee you will stop complaining about a lot of things and more blessings will come your way.
Exactly. And with that, everybody stay blessed.